In this 2 to 3 minute video clip, I want to go over the Chapter 1 summary. Now, see the big picture of what we're going to cover the first week in class. We're going to define economics, and we're going to see there are many different definitions of economics, but we're going to begin the semester by defining economics, and we're going to come to find out there are many different definitions of economics, but these multiple definitions of economics seem to have some common characteristics. We're going to talk about scarce resources. We're going to talk about the role limited production capacity. We're going to talk about the role limited production capacity plays in economics, also limited wants and decision making. And so, while we have multiple definitions of economics, we're going to come to find out that these multiple definitions of economics typically talk about scarce resources, how scarce resources limited production capacity so that society cannot meet all of its wants and ultimately has to make some decisions on what it's going to produce in terms of decision making. This course is broken down into two components. The first 2/3 of the course, we're going to focus on microeconomic theory, and then the last 1/3 of the course, we're going to deal with macroeconomic theory. Up under microeconomic theory, we're going to focus on the individual and the household and discuss consumer preference. And this course is broken down into two components. The first 2/3 of the course is going to focus on microeconomic theory, and the last 1/3 is going to focus on macroeconomic theory. Upon a microeconomic theory, we're going to spend time discussing the firm. We're going to look at the firm in context of production costs in the short run and the long run. We're also going to discuss economic profit. We're going to define economic profit from accounting profit. We're going to talk about different types of economic profit and how that impacts the production decisions for firms. We're going to end our microeconomic theory component of the course by talking about industry, different types of industries, and the pricing and production behavior of different types of industries, beginning with perfect competition, moving to monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. And while I have listed up here the individual household in this course, we're not going to spend much time focusing up under microeconomic theory about the individual, talking about consumer preference or indifference curve analysis. So I just placed this up here for reference, but we're not going to focus on the individual household within the component of microeconomic theory for this course. The last 1/3 of the course is going to focus on macroeconomics. We're going to introduce 4 interrelated macroeconomic measures, beginning with gross domestic product, looking at business cycles. We're going to graphically illustrate different phases of the business cycle. We're going to talk about inflation and finishing the macroeconomic measures looking at unemployment. We are then going to move to discussing macroeconomic models. We're going to introduce 2 interrelated models, one commonly referred to as the Keynesian cross, and then the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model. We're going to use these models, whether it's the Keynesian cross or the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model, to finish up the one. We're going to use these 2 models, Keynesian cross or the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model, to discuss public policy in terms of fiscal policy and monetary policy. And that will summarize the macroeconomic theory portion of the course. And so, take a look at the Chapter 1 summary as you read Chapter 1 of the textbook. It gives the big picture of what we're going to cover in greater detail throughout the semester.